Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, we're going to take a look at this issue of Tales of the New Teen Titans. This is issue 2 of 4 from miniseries featuring Raven from 1982. Before I do that, I like to talk about or suggest some of the other YouTube channels that I like to look at, watch once in a while. And here is, I want to mention, I have mentioned it before, Cagelcast. That is Cagel Cast. Cagelcast. Daryl Cagle is the host of that, and it is just about editorial cartoons. He is a cartoonist, and he talks about, examines editorial cartoons with the cartoonists, and that is and that is very enjoyable. I like editorial cartoons. That was a significant part of the history of cartooning. Was early on was the editorial cartoons. Okay, here we are. Tales of the New Teen Titans from DC Comics, featuring Raven, issue 2 of 4, 1982. This is written by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, with pencils by George Perez and inks by Pablo Marcos. Raven, of course, is a superhero character appearing in the New Teen Titans and other comics from DC Comics. And she first appeared in DC Comics Presents number 26 in 1980, which as special insert. So I think it was like a prequel to what was coming with the New Teen Titans. It was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, and she is a Cambion, which is a human demon hybrid. And Raven is the daughter of the demon Trigon and the human woman Arella, possessing significant magical and supernatural powers, and has later on the human identity of Rachel Roth, and is a founding member of the New Teen Titans. Okay, now, this is drawn by George Perez. He was so fast, he was so good, and he did so many things. So he was from 1954 to 2022. He's an American comic book writer and artist. Became popular in the 70s on the Fantastic Four and Adventures for Marvel. Then he co-created and penciled the New Teen Titans, which is one of DC's top sellers. Then he was on Crisis on Infinite Earths. Of course, he's done a lot more than all that, but this is some of the high points. And later did the Wonder Woman reboot, and he's best known for his complex crowd scenes, and I would say along with that also for the some of the magnificent backgrounds and architecture in his backgrounds, most specifically which we see in here and really see in the Wonder Woman books later on. His classical architecture that he uses to great effect in his background. So by the classical, I mean Greco-Roman style. Of course, he used a lot more than that, but that really punches it up. So, we'll take a little look at Raven. Okay, this is basically her backstory, leading up to her starting up with the Titans. Okay, because I said this is issue 2, and here we have big splash page Oh, that's the demon Trigon after Raven herself. Now, you see, Raven is a little different than what we think of Raven today. She was in part inspired by, well, by various things, but had the name Raven, and so her soul self, which can leave her body, is in the image of a bird. You can see even with her cloak here, it and cowl, the hood of her cloak kind of takes on a bird-like silhouette, which is later lost. And initially, her eyes were constantly in shadow, regardless of the lighting, which was derived from the Phantom Stranger, and her facial features. Overall, her features were largely inspired by the Indian model and actress of Persis Khambatta, who played Alia in the Star Trek: The Motion Picture, with the one with the bald lady, one with the shaved head, and at some points in her life cycle, she appears bald. Sometimes she has the long black locks. Sometimes she is bald, and but then she's been retconned. So this story is probably no longer nearly so relevant. She's been retconned. She's died so many times, come back, and has been come back in the body of another girl. But I know so little about it, especially in the contemporary era. And but this is at least visually speaking, this is the version of Raven that I like best. But there is not to detract anything from the beautiful work and design that that Perez did initially on Raven. But she's supposed to be a teenager here, and she looks at least mid-30s. but anyway, so here she is with being confronted by her father in some nebulous otherworld space. And so here the storytelling is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels, but they're all vertical. But it's some good storytelling. You get a lot of stuff in those little narrow images. Does the same over here, and it turns out all this conflict is a nightmare, because she is prone to her nightmares. Here she has the long locks and the prominent widow's peak. And it turns out she and the other Titans are out on a camping trip. She had a nightmare. Everyone's there, and at this point in time, Wally West, Wally West, Kid Flash, is a member of the team. This is before he took before the death of Barry Allen, and he is still part of the Titans. And at this point, he is in love with Raven, and she does not reciprocate at all. Of course, she, although an empath, she is much like a Vulcan in that she is very suppresses her emotions, because, as we find out later, that can be very, very, very dangerous and hazardous. So everyone rushes to see her. She tells about the nightmare, and this is when she starts giving and Wally has kind of chastising her for not opening up to him and stuff. And this is when she begins to give a more detailed her story of her background, how her mother was Arella was a student of arcane arts, and conjured up what turned out this beautiful man, and from elsewhere. She fell in love, and they made love, and then he revealed himself to be the demon Trigon, and showed himself in his true form. And because he's had many children, and most of them have all died or been destroyed, and so, but he's sure that this time things will work out better for him anyway. And so she is returned to Earth, and she's horrified by what has happened. She contemplating suicide while she's pregnant. But then these other beings appear and take her to kind of an interdimensional way station, a city called Azeroth. Azeroth. And here's where you really see some of Perez's talents really shining here with this background and this establishing shot, the classical style architecture, and it's just a beauty to behold. And she is taken in by these people who are magically inclined, left the Earth many centuries before, established this world, and it's a place of refuge for her, but they are familiar with the demon, and this one fellow here, Juris, does not. He's one of the elders. He does not want her there because he realizes it will bring ruin to their world with the birth of this child. But their leader chastises him and said, well, we must. Then when the child is born, the place is rocked with earthquake and storm and stuff. And shortly afterward, of course, she's all this is while she's telling stuff, revealing stuff. Juris takes the newborn baby to the it's basically a vault door that leads to a great abyss, and he's going to throw the baby into the abyss. But when he opens it up, he is blasted. He is blasted with some kind of beam, which he's just reduced to ash. But the baby is fine. Then baby Raven is, apologizes, as many think because these people are pacifists, and he was. Juris himself was horrified at the prospect of doing what he was going to do, but it's all he could think of doing. Then she's basically a goddess. Their leader is an ancient one. She is I think, granddaughter of one of their founders, and so she is many centuries old and nearing the end of her life. And she basically adopts baby Raven to be raised and taught with her in the temple, and her mother is there, doesn't get to see her very often, but does not get to be a mother to her, but she has temple functions. So then Raven is growing up and getting use of her powers, learning her powers, has some healing capabilities, etc. And then she's about 10 or 11 years old, and when Azar, this lady, older lady, finally passes away, and she has no daughter of her own to pass on rulership of Azeroth, Azeroth, but charges Arella to finish teaching her daughter. That's when. Then she starts having nightmares as she gets older. She has all these nightmares of her father as he intrudes into her life, and all this takes place over time. Then she opens that vault door, is compelled to open that vault door, and there is Trigon on the other side, and he wants her, his daughter. He wants her because she is the most useful, the most powerful, and the most reasonable one of his offspring that he has had to date. And she is totally resistant. He's trying to influence her. And then it comes to a combat. Her mother, Arella, focuses against him, and he renders her helpless by aging her up and laughing at it, and her emotions come forth. She her first time, her soul self in the form of a raven comes out of her body, and she fights against her father, and he against her, and finally says, "Yes, you are indeed my daughter. You have those. That is your demon half coming out." And blah 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 says, "With this is why." Then he's gone, and her mother is restored, and they're back in Azeroth. But this is when they know that Trigon is coming for her later, because now she is even more powerful, and he wants to influence her more, because her emotions release the demon part. That's why she has always been so almost depressed and suppressing her emotions, etc. all this time. And it ends up with a boys, Cyborg and Beast Boy outside him. So, "What are you grinning about, Salad Head?" That's Cyborg to Beast Boy. And he says, "Just suddenly being glad that my life wasn't that screwy." But yeah, that was of course, it's very abbreviated. It has little of necessarily an overall plot, because it is told in more the fashion of a biography, which is basically what it is, giving us Raven's background at that time. And I have no idea how much of that has been retconned away into other things by now, with all the reboots and stuff. But I thought it was enjoyable. And I just love his that Perez artwork. And it's great figure work, and his magnificent work on his backgrounds. So I do want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and do leave your comments down below. Do you like? Are you a Teen Titans fan? A new Teen Titans fan? Do you like Raven? If so, what version of Raven do you like best? At what time period? The current Titans, or the original new Teen Titans, what have you? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.